Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing today? This is Dawnna St. Louis, and we're going to talk a little bit about the sales close, sales. Like, I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs that, quite honestly, are super ridiculously crazy uncomfortable in doing sales. It's not their thing. They don't know how to do it. They have a hard time with it. Let me fix my camera a bit. I think it's too far back. Okay. They really have a hard time with the sales part. They have no idea how they're going to find the clients. They don't know where to find leads, right? They don't know. So prospecting is really a struggle for them. Like, where do I start? Where do I find people? And then once they start finding people, they're not really sure what the outreach should be. Should I be calling them? Should I be sending an email? Right? So that whole thing gets tough as well. And then even before that, they're not really sure what their marketing should be. And then finally, when they do get on the phone, when they have the phone call is rough. Like, it is rough. It is not cute at all. Like, and they're going, I don't know what's happening. I'm not making any money. I don't know, right? And so there's a lot of discomfort going on. They can't figure out how to get on the phone. They can't figure out how to make money. They're having these really rough conversations, and just the whole sales thing is like, to them, is like magic, right? And then what part I think is so funny is, like, they'll say, I got on the phone with someone and oh my God, it was, I don't know, like, how did you close the deal? So it's the whole thing. Sales is one of those things that's just really an ass kicker for entrepreneurs. And what's so funny is I hear so many entrepreneurs will tell me that this thing, I love it. It's like, I'm not planning on doing any sales. I'm not going to sell. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to sell. That's not happening. And I'm like, oh, so what you're going to be is what I like to call broke, right? If you're not going to sell, by the way, you're going to be extra broke is what I call it. You're going to be extra broke because you're going to put all of this money into your business and you're not going to get any out. What they're really waiting for is what I call Fantasyland entrepreneurship. Fantasyland entrepreneurship, or Field of Dreams entrepreneurship, is I'm going to build it. I'm going to make the website. I'm going to create the course. I'm going to send a few emails. Clearly I'm awesome. And what's going to happen is the phone is going to ring and they're going to just throw money at me. And I'm like, honey, just because you build it don't mean they gonna come. Like, that's not how it works. Or my other favorite thing is, I'm just gonna show up and I'm gonna say I'm awesome, and people are gonna just start throwing money at me. And I'm like, right, so we're talking about stripper sales. You're gonna show up, you're gonna twerk a little bit, and people are gonna put dollars in your G-string. Because no, that's not how it works. Like, that's just, like, everything that people are saying, I'm like, that's not how it works at all. So let's talk about how it works. Let's talk about the sales conversation. Let's start there. So first of all, just in case you're wondering, okay, so who's the crazy person talking about strippers and Field of Dreams and the fantasy land of entrepreneurship? Let me tell you who I am. My name, hello, is Dawnna St. Louis. I am CEO of High Profit Zone. If you go to highprofitzone.com, what we actually do is we turn people who are experts into high profit entrepreneurs. And you might be saying, well, how the hell you know how to do that? Well, I sold a business for $250 million when I was 39, and I was homeless when I was 19. So I must have figured out something along the way. Today, I am an international speaker. I literally travel all over the world. So I've been down to Turks and Caicos by the Bransons. I'm going to Kiev. I've been to Bangkok. I've traveled all over the world. And I do two things. I teach people how to turn their expertise into entrepreneurial dollars. And the other thing that I do is I teach people how to sell without selling, by the way, without selling, because most people hate sales. All right. And by the way, I do have a workshop that's coming up. It's going to be in the first quarter. I'm doing a series of 6 workshops at the beginning of 2020. And those workshops, one of the workshops is going to be how to sell without selling, right? How to sell without selling. Can you imagine? All right. So let me tell you how this crap came. Because my son just decided to call while I'm in the middle of the live stream, which I'm really upset that he's not watching. So that's a conversation for later. Anyway, so we're going to talk about, so how do you sell without selling? This is how this came up. So I'm on the phone with one of my coaching clients. He is a sales genius, right? He's been in sales for years. So I'm thinking in my mind, I don't have to coach him on sales. The guy's been in sales. So why would I have to coach him on selling? He knows how to sell. Right? Duh. Right. So, I'm never going to have to teach this. So, anyway, we're having this conversation, and you know what? Hold on one second, because my son is going to do the unthinkable. Okay, there you go. I was going to say, my son is going to do the unthinkable, and he's going to call me back in the middle of my live stream. So I went on and turned on Do Not Disturb. So anyway, I'm never going to have to teach this guy how to sell, because at the end of the day, he's been doing this long enough. He knows how to sell. He's only a few weeks into the program. He's getting calls. He's doing all the things he's supposed to do. He's making money. He has proposals out, right? And so he goes, I'm having a problem with the sales conversations. And it is not an emergency. It's not an emergency. Trust me. If it was an emergency, he would have texted me. That's how I know that my son calling me is not an emergency, because he never calls me if it's an emergency. He sends me a text message, and that text message says something like this: yo. So it's not an emergency. Yeah, just so you'll know, millennials don't call you when there's an emergency. They text you when there's an emergency, because why would they call? Anyway, I'm talking to this guy, and he's saying that he's having a hard time on the sales call and on the conversations, and that for some reason they're really static and stank and very businessy. And I'm like, they are? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, you're in sales, so I already know you know how to sell. That's why I'm not coaching you on sales. I don't want to insult you. And he goes, oh, no. I'm not selling I'm getting the conversations, but once I get in the conversations, they're horrible. So here we go. All right, guys, let's do this. So you get in the conversation, and do me a favor, ask me questions about this, because I really want to help you with it. I really want to help you with these sales conversations. So I have a few questions that people generally hear when they first have the sales call, right? So what are some of the things that you hear very first thing that you have the sales call? Some people say, what is your date and rate? Right? That's one of the things that I hear quite often, very beginning of the sales call. The other thing that I hear, and write these down, what's your date and rate? The other thing I hear is, so tell me about yourself. That's a nice way of saying, why should I hire you? The other thing, so let's just go with those two. I have a list. I have like 5 of these, but we'll start with those two. So the first one, my favorite, is, hey, Dawnna, what's your date and rate? Do I look like I can good? Like, seriously? Dude, if you're asking me for your date and rate, quite honestly, you're going to the low price leader. You're going to Walmart. That's what you're doing. You're shopping for Walmart. And so what I do is I'm quite honest with this, and I say, hey, if you are looking for, I can't stand how much they launch right into how much. Absolutely. Let's see, question. How do you say sounds interesting, but it's not the right? What do you say that sounds interesting, but not at the right time? These are great questions. Okay, somebody keep track of these for me. So I'm going to start off with the date and rate. When somebody asks me for the date or rate, and I usually say, you know what? I might, or, I probably have that date available. We'll have to check. So, what's the date you're looking at? Okay, great. And when they ask me what's the rate, and I go, let me ask you a question. What number would be too high? And they are like, that usually throws them off. They're like, what? I said, what number would be too high? And I go, would 50,000 be too high? Would 40,000 be too high? What is your too high number? One guy got frustrated with me. He goes, I'm just not going to talk to you. And I said, okay. And he goes, and just like that? And I'm like, yeah. I said, you're looking for a canned good, and I'm a professional. I'm a human being. I'm a person who's going to have a conversation with you. I don't even know what you're looking for. Are you looking for a keynote speech? Are you looking for a keynote speech followed up by a program? Are you looking for a multi-day program? Who's in your audience? Do you have something that maybe we can barter just in case my rate and your dollars aren't the same? I said, there's a lot that goes into this. I am delivering basically a consulting type service. If you're just looking for a date and rate, you're looking for a canned good from Walmart. You're looking for the low price leader. And if you're shopping based on price, I'm probably not your person. So my question for you is, what number is too high? And so this one guy said 12,000. I said, so 12,000 that's just too high? He goes, yes. And I said, so if I could deliver everything that you wanted, and I'm going to make you look like a superstar on stage, you're telling me that if I came in at $12,500, it would be an absolute no-go. And he goes, well, no, I'm not saying that. And I said, so 12,000 isn't too high. And he goes, well, in that case, 13,000. I said, okay, great. So $13,000. So I'm a $20,000 speaker. I'm going to roll in and I'm going to do a keynote for you for $13,000. But you know what? I could also do a breakout session for you. And how much do you normally pay your breakout session speakers? Oh, you pay them $5,000. Okay, so that's $18,000. So you're going to get a $20,000 speaker, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a breakout session for you. And I would do it for $18,000. But since you said $13,000, I guess you're not going to take me for your breakout session, right? All of a sudden, people start thinking, I said, that's why I don't. And then I'll say, listen, that's why I don't play the date and rate game. I said, there's so many variables. So how about this? Let's talk about your event. Let's talk about exactly what you're looking for. Let's talk about the budget that you have for all your speakers. Let's see how many gaps that I can fill in. And then let's come up with what would be a great value-based pricing model that works for you, that we can actually have a win-win, that you get way, way, way more than you expected and you paid way less than you should have. Can we do that? You have to take control of the conversation. You cannot be controlled by chasing the dollar, because if you are going to lose every time. And let me explain to you why this is. I want you to imagine that you are in the ocean and you are swimming against Michael Phelps. Okay? And Michael Phelps cut his leg. And he knows that a shark can smell a drop of blood from like 1,000,000 miles away. And so Michael Phelps looks back and he sees a shark, and Michael Phelps starts swimming. This guy is a world-class swimmer, and needless to say, he can kick your ass swimming. Who do you think's gonna get caught? You are. The strongest shark is gonna catch you. Now, I want you to imagine for a moment that you are in the pool, in the thing, and you're swimming your ass off. And Michael Phelps is in front of you, and you are trying to catch the shark that's in front of you. And there is this one shark and it's wounded. Which one do you think you're going to catch? Do you think you're going to catch the strongest shark that's going 1,000 miles an hour, or the weakest shark? You're probably going to catch the weakest shark that's dead and or dying. These sharks are equivalent to money. If you are chasing the dollar like you're chasing the shark, you're going to catch the broke ass cheap shark. You're going to catch the shark that's dying. Basically, you're going to catch the dollar. But if you're in the water and you're swimming your ass off, the strongest shark is going to catch you. Now, just in case you don't know who that is, that's going to be the one with the $100 on it. That's going to be the bigger money. That's going to be the big one, right? That's going to be actually the American Express card that they're going to slide and pay you. The bigger money is going to chase you. When you are chasing the dollar, you always catch the weak one. But when you let the dollar chase you, the strongest dollar always catches you. So you want to change your mindset about money. You want to make sure you're getting caught by the strongest, not the weakest. I ain't going to be taken out by a weak shark. A strong shark going to have to do the job. So my point is that stop focusing on dollars in a way that causes you to be the person that's chasing them. Chasing dollars is not going to make you successful. You want to make sure that the dollars are chasing you. Only the strongest dollars get to catch you. So change the conversation in regards to money when they start asking for date and rate. By the way, you have nothing to lose on this. When they call you and say, what's your date and rate? You have the right to go in and quite honestly, be as bold as you can. Well, let me ask you a question. What's the most money you got? Like, seriously, that is one of the questions. What's the most money you got? Right? So you're saying so it's 12.5. Okay, so you got 12.5. All right, so if I come in at 13, if you get a $20,000 speaker for 13, you're saying that's a no? Oh, so 13 is... You have the right to go back at somebody who's asking you about money the same way they came in. If they came in talking about money, you could talk about money. Just be aware that once you get them kind of in that corner, you can go ahead and switch that conversation. All right, so that's the first question. I'm just checking here to see if I see any questions. So what's your solution when they haven't talked about the problem? Got that one. All right, here's the other one. The other one is, so Dawnna, tell me about you and why you're right for my program. And I said, so you want me to tell you? Now, I have my client that literally says, the first thing they say to me is, well, tell me about you. And I go, oh, okay, well, my name is Dawnna. I'm a Cancer, Leo rising. I like long walks on the beach. I love water sports. I hate heights. I went body surfing down a class 2 rapid recently. Like, no, dude. I do want them to know about me, but I don't want them to know about me as a speaker just yet. I first want to get an understanding of them. See, here's the thing. When you let the client focus so much on you, what you're not doing is letting them do the most important thing possible. And that is the focus on what their challenge is and why they want you. So the first thing that I do is I go, hey, you know what? We could talk about me all day long. That is a very, very long story with a lot of very hidden details. And I'm not sure how deep we want to get into my life story or where I was born or my mommy issues. However, what I'd love to do is maybe if we could talk just a little bit about your event. And the first thing I ask them is, so what's going on in your world that you saw, even if I sent them a cold call email, that you saw my brochure and said, oh my God, she has just the right amount of crazy that we need her. What's going on in your world that you thought that was all right? Right? And I play with people. I have a conversation with people. I find out what's going on in their world. What's happening that you need this, that you feel like you need this up there. Like, what's going on? Now, what's so cool about that is when people say that, the next thing I say is, okay, so that's going on in your world? Oh my gosh. Okay. So what happens if you don't get that? What's frustrating you about having that problem? How is that driving you absolutely crazy? What would you do to fix it? What have you tried to do in the past? Right? I'm asking all these questions because I need to know what's broken, what's breaking. What did you try that came pretty close to working and you were like, damn, didn't quite work the way I wanted it to? Okay, so if you don't get this fixed, what are you worried about that'll happen? So let's say you don't get mind magic on your stage. What's the one thing that you're worried about? Like, what if I'm like, we can't come to an agreement? Then what are you worried about? What happens? I need to make sure that they are painting the picture of why this is going to be painful for them, right? But we need to have that conversation. And the very first thing that I do, even before all of this, is I get to know them. Here's the thing. If you're not laughing on the phone with me within the first 5 minutes, it's not going to be a match. at all. Because you know what? I'm funny. No, that's not true. But I'm just saying, if we're not connecting, if there's no connection, it's probably not going to work. And you got to be honest about that. Not every client is your client. So if you're not making a connection, it's not going to work. So the very first thing that you want to do on the conversation is you want to make a connection. Most of the time we can't make a connection because we're so hell-bent on saying, pick me! I'm the best person in the world! No! Stop it. I might not be the best person. I might not be the solution. I talked to the guy from Kiev the other day about him and his mom. He said his mom was at his house and she was going to go and get a haircut. So he decided to pay for her Uber and, all the stuff to go get a haircut. And she's so cute. She's like 80 years old or something. And she still leaves him like a $20 bill. This guy's a multimillionaire. His mom leaves like a little $20 bill for him for lunch because she wants to make sure that he eats when she goes out to get her hair done. I thought it was hilarious. We then had a whole conversation about things that moms do. What does that have to do with me getting on the stage in Kiev? Nothing. Nothing. But I know that this guy has a really cool relationship with his mom. I know the relationship that he has with his mom. I know his mom is 4'9", and that she leaves $20 bills for her son to make sure that he has lunch because she wants to know that he ate. What does that have to do with Kiev? Nothing. Build a relationship before you build the business. You have to build the relationship first. If you build a relationship, when you start asking people what's going on in your world and what is frustrating you, they feel close enough to you to open up. I want to know that you were excited about Toronto Raptors winning the NBA championship. I want to know what you did this weekend. I want to tell you that I accidentally body surfed down Class 2 rapids for a quarter mile and almost died. I want to know that you went on this experience where you went into this water slide that went straight down, and I want to talk about what you did for the summer. I want to have 5 minutes of getting to know you before we get anywhere else. Because if I can't get to know you and you don't know me, then there is really no need for us to go anything. That's not funny, Michael. He does have the video, but it's still not funny. It doesn't. If you can't create the relationship, then you're not going to get the buyer to be vulnerable enough to tell you what's really going on in their organization and about the personal win that they want to get. You have to, if I have one young lady that works with me who's absolutely amazing. And she said, my client's biggest challenge is that he needs someone to come in and help him with productivity and organization. But I can't get him to pull the trigger on signing the contract. And I said, well, why isn't he signing the contract? And she said, well, because he's really busy. And I said, then maybe we should have a conversation with him about his inability to sign the contract because he has so much clock clutter, and then give him a tip and say, listen, I know you're busy. I know clock clutter is actually killing you and slowing you down. I'm not trying to put more pressure on you. Here is a tip to help you do X, Y, Z. And then maybe we can have a conversation when you save this 15 minutes out of your day. Here's the thing. You want to give your clients a reason to call you. So give them a tip and then ask them later, hey, I gave you that tip. Did it work? Did you try it? Yeah. Give them a reason to reach out to you. Make them go, oh my gosh, if this one little teeny tiny tip worked in this email, I wonder what else they have, right? That's what you want to do. You want to start doing those little things, but you can't, like I said, you have to have the opening conversation to get to the close. The opening conversation, quite honestly, is the conversation that comes from here. It doesn't come from here. It doesn't come from here. It comes from here. hey, how are you? So tell me a little bit about yourself. So what do you do? Here's some questions you can ask. I had somebody who works for the National Association of Broadcasters, right? And I go, how did you get into broadcasting? Because I honestly think that it is amazing the way you guys shrink those tiny little people and stick them in my TV. Like, how do you get millions and millions of people into my television? That is magic to me, right? So, and I think TV is magic, right? I don't know anything about TV. And so I'm like, how did you even get into that industry? Like, how does someone get into that industry? I never see advertisements for people who want to work in TV. How did you do that? And she started telling me all about the background of getting into TV. And I was just like, wow, it's totally blown away, right? Now I know more about her journey getting into TV and how people get into TV. And I even asked, is that the normal way that people get in? What are some of the things that once you got into TV that totally surprised you? What are some of the things that you were like, oh, okay, yeah, that's standard everywhere? Those kind of questions. Get to know the people that you're talking to before you try to sell them anything. By being that open and vulnerable with her and saying, tell me about your stuff. I'm really interested, showing a real interest. When I got down to, okay, so, Anne, why would you want me? Like, you guys haven't had a female keynote speaker. You never had a paid keynote speaker. Why do you want me to open up your conference this year? Like, why? I mean, that's a big step. You're getting your first minority female speaker for this huge association. There's 3,000 people in the room. What makes you want to make that kind of step right now? She was like wide open with telling me all the reasons and all the things. And why was she that open? Because we had already developed a relationship. So the first thing that I want you to do is not try to close the deal at the beginning of the conversation. What I want you to do is try to open their hearts so they'll talk to you and tell you everything so that you can get to the end of the conversation. Anyway, at the beginning of the first quarter of 2020, I want to help people just like you who are struggling with their sales. They're like, listen, we're not closing deals. We're going to do a deep dive on how to sell without selling. We're going to do some role plays. That's one of the things we're doing. We're doing six programs at the beginning of the year. Well, let me take that back. We're doing 3 programs twice. We're doing 2 is going to be for the deep dive into your speaking business, and 2 is going to be for sales. And the other 2, I don't have the pretty name for it yet, so we're not going to talk about it yet. But anyway, we have 2, 2, and 2. If you're interested in getting into the deep dive, it's going to be in Orlando. It's going to be in the first quarter. I don't have the exact dates yet, but it's going to be in Orlando in the first quarter of 2020. It's going to be $2,000. It's going to be for a 2-day deep dive on how to sell without selling so you close more deals faster. We're going to talk about pricing. We're going to talk about sales. We're going to talk about how you can negotiate in a different way. We're going to do some role plays. We're going to do all the things. I am actually going to load that up on High Profit Zone today. In fact, that's what I'm going to go do in a few minutes. And then when I do that, if that is something you're interested in, do let me know. We have payment plans for people who want to make a payment plan for it. It's only $2,000. It's happening at the beginning of the year. We are going to have extremely limited seats available. That's right. It's not like 1,000 people can come to this. Not that at all. So if you're interested in learning how to get in on some of these series that I'm going to be doing at the beginning of 2020, I know you're going, 2020? Oh my God, it's forever away. It's not. It's August, September, October, November, December. Like literally it's 4 months. Anyway, if that's something you're interested in doing, do send me a text message or email or whatever. Let me know that you're interested. You can hit me up. Go to highprofitzone.com. Let me know if you're interested, and I will definitely make sure that you get a seat. Anyway, my name is Dawnna St. Louis, and I hope you do a better job opening your sales conversation so you close it. Let me see if I have any other questions that I missed. I have body surfing video. I love you, Michael. Body surfing video. I did go body surfing down. So you're saying, yeah, it works. What's your solution when they haven't talked about the problem? Okay, when someone goes into what's the solution when you haven't talked about the problem, it is your job to take control of the conversation and start off with, so what's going on in your world that you think you need whatever the high level portion of your solution is. So if somebody says, well, Dawnna, what's your solution? Well, hold on. What's going on in your world that you think that you need a sales solution? What's going on in your world that you need someone to talk about your winning edge and extreme execution? What's going on in your world that you need to understand your decision maker archetype? What's going on in your world that you think you need? Like, I need to know first what it is, why do they think they even need this solution before I start talking about it? Because I need to know what they think it is. They might be completely wrong. I'm talking about my solution. And they're like, what the hell is she talking about? That's not what I'm asking about. Let's say canned goods. I can't, question. What do you say to sounds interesting, but it's not the right time? Okay. Oh my God. This one happens a lot. Okay. So, we're really interested in you, but it's not the right time. Great. Let me ask you, now's not the right time. When did you start making the decision for this? Right? So let's say I call and it's August and they're like, oh, Dawnna, we already got all of our speakers for our event, or we already got our whatever. And I go, okay, great. When did you start making this decision? Did you start this process back in February, back in January? Was it a year ago? I'm only asking because I want to know when to reach out to you next, right? And they might say, oh, we usually start in February. Okay, well, do you mind if I reach out to you just a tiny bit early in January just to make sure that I get on the radar? So that's one thing. Or if they say it's not the right time, then say, understood. Can you tell me what's going on in your organization? Is it that your budget is already spent? Is it that there's something major going on or whatever? Sometimes there's something major going on. CEOs change, reorgs happen, people get laid off and go, and you always have to empathize with that. Okay, I've been there, done that. That's crazy. Good. Oh my gosh. Please feel free to call me if you just want to vent and you don't want anybody at work to know what you're saying, because sometimes you just need an ear. So let's say, let's say this is going to be about 6 months. How about I do this? I'm going to reach back out to you next month just to check in and see how you're doing, not for anything else. And then I'm going to reach out to you a couple of months from there. So can I just reach out to you next month just to see how you're doing? Remember, this is not about closing the deal. This is now about the person. If it's not the right time because of a tragedy within their organization, you want to call and talk to them and make sure they're okay. They're going through a tragedy. If it's not the right time because you've missed their cycle, find out when their cycle starts and then ask them if you could reach out to them at the beginning of that cycle. But then I always say, hey, do you mind if I just reach out to you next month just to see how things are going? Or after their event, I'm like, do you mind if I reach out to find out how your event went? I'm really curious, like, did your speaker deliver what you want? You always want to ask permission to reach out to them again. If they say, no, if we want you, we'll call you, I prefer that you never reach out to me again. FYI, the conversation went like shit. They don't like you. Like, just own that and find a different way. Maybe if you don't want to let it go, maybe send out a postcard or something like that. But if they're like, please don't ever contact us again, we'll call you when hell freezes over, then your conversation was crap and they don't like you and you have to wait for them either to die, get fired, or change jobs, right? Because you're not going to get in. So you need to find another way to either reach back out to them with a postcard or something, but do respect their wishes. Unfortunately, it means that you really messed up that conversation. I haven't been that unlucky yet to have it where people just completely hate me, not like all the way. I have had, however, where, there's been a person or two in the room be like, I don't know. I just think like she's way too diva-ish, and I'm like, I am. You didn't see the crown when I walked in. I usually just own whatever it is that they say about me. And I'm like, oh my God. So you noticed that I was a diva. Thanks. I make a joke out of it. Anything that someone says about me, I embrace it. I don't deny it. I just go, oh, I sure am. I love when someone's like, you're too much of a wallflower. I'm like, I know, right? I just own it. I make a joke out of it, and then I'm like, wait until you see the next thing I do. Or I'm really trying to come out of my shell. I have those conversations. I embrace them. So don't get combative. When someone says about you, there is this cool thing that my friend Avish Parashar always talks about. He goes, how do you say yes and? So I usually say yes, that I am a diva, and wait till you see what I do next. Or yes, I'm totally a wallflower. Wait until you see me come out of my shell. It doesn't matter what they say. Just embrace it, own it, and keep moving, keep rolling with it. But having these relationship building conversations will help you close the deal more effortlessly. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. And by the way, there is a blueprint to do this. I'm talking off the cuff, but there's definitely a blueprint. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a fantastic one.